So it looks like Charles Oliveira versus Beneil Dariush is almost confirmed somewhat. It looks like we're going to be seeing them fight at UFC 288 on May the 6th. And it was, I believe, reported by Beneil Dariush's or Charles Oliveira's manager, one of the two. So it looks like May the 6th, UFC 288, co-main event, or the featured fight. If there's going to be two title fights, we're going to have Oliveira versus Dariush. And Oliveira seems to think that he's going to get a title shot off a win over Beneil Dariush. And with how stacked 155 is, maybe that won't be the case, especially with McGregor's return to 155 against Chandler. But, I don't know, man. If he beats Beneil Dariush, you probably could argue that he should get a rematch with Islam Makhachev, if you know what I mean. But let's just talk about the matchup. Let's talk about the fight. Let's talk about this banger Tapology update. This is incredible. I love this Tapology update, dude. So now at the top, you can see the record by promotion. So Oliveira 21-9 with the promotion. But you can also see how many wins he's got by KO, how many losses he's got by KO, this and that. So he's won 9 times, but and lost 4 times by KO, won 21 times, and lost 4 times by submission. This is some good stuff. And it also tells you first round, second round, third round. That's good. Like, that's what we want to know. Like, that's really important information, I feel. Like, you know, that's pretty banger. That's pretty solid stuff. Yeah, obviously he's coming off the loss to Islam Makhachev. Now he's fighting Beneil Dariush, or he wants to fight Beneil Dariush, depending on what's going to happen. And we can actually see Beneil Dariush has been on a win streak since 2018. He's beaten some good guys. I thought he was going to get the title shot after beating Mateusz Gamrot, but it looks like maybe it's not going to happen. And kind of in hindsight, who has Beneil Dariush been fighting, you know what I mean? And it's not like he's been super active. Like, I know it wasn't really his fault as Makhachev pulled out of the fight at the start of 2022, but he didn't really get in the fight. I feel like maybe he had some sort of injury in that matchup, but I guess in hindsight, the win over Tony Ferguson's looked really bad. Diego Ferreira win's not that good because Diego Ferreira's pretty old. Scott Holtzman's like 40 years old. Drakkar Klose isn't even ranked. Frank Camacho's not even in the UFC. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like all of these wins haven't really been over top-ranked guys. So that's kind of why Beneil Dariush maybe hasn't got the title shot, which a lot of people think he's deserved. But I think it makes sense, the fight. Personally, I do want to see Beneil Dariush just get the title shot now and be the next in line for Volk versus Makhachev. Because if this fight happens, who's Islam Makhachev going to fight next? Is he just going to wait until the end of the world, until the end of the year? Or if Volkanovski wins, that's pretty easy, it's pretty simple. He'll just defend his 145 belt and then 155 at the end of the year. But if Makhachev beats Volkanovski, which is what I think is going to happen, we're just going to expect Makhachev to wait like 8 months. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to get a quick turnaround. I don't really understand. You know what I mean? Because I feel like Beneil Dariush should just be next in line anyway. I feel like Beneil Dariush should be the guy that's weighing in as the backup for UFC 284. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me, like, at all, really. But, oh well, I mean, it seems like a matchup. I'm looking forward to it. If it does happen, I will be picking Charles Oliveira by knockout on the feet. I do think Charles Oliveira is the better striker. I think he's the better pure grappler, but I think Beneil Dariush is the better wrestler. And we saw some really good wrestling and grappling out of him against Mateusz Gamrot, who is a really good wrestler and grappler himself. So I think it would be a very interesting fight. I do think Charles Oliveira, although he's pretty wild on the feet, would definitely have the advantage on the feet. Personally, I do feel that way. So I think Charles Oliveira would get a knockout, you know what I mean? Like, we're talking about Charles Oliveira, the guy that was knocking down Justin Gaethje on the feet. A guy that was knocking down Michael Chandler and knocking him out on the feet. A guy who was hurting Dustin Poirier on the feet, you know what I mean? Like, he's really made improvements in his stand-up, as of recent especially, you know what I mean? And now he, unfortunately, did get submitted by Islam Makhachev. But I actually rewatched that fight, and what he actually did against Islam Makhachev is he got knocked down. But what he did was he did against Justin Gaethje, because if you watch the Justin Gaethje fights, you can see Oliveira just kind of gets hurt and then he just like falls down to recover. He does that against Islam Makhachev. He didn't really get like knocked down. He kind of like fell down. And, you know, I just don't think he expected Islam Makhachev to pounce on him, which is why he got subbed. But to be fair, he was losing the fight anyway. But yeah, Charles Oliveira, I think he's going to have to try and give up on these ideas that no one's going to grapple with him, because Islam Makhachev wanted to grapple with him, you know what I mean? So hopefully he can make some adjustments. I think that he can, and I think that he can win. I think that he would beat Beneil Dariush, which would be a shame, because I do want Beneil Dariush to get a title shot. I do. I feel like he's deserved it, but I feel like Charles Oliveira if Charles Oliveira's in the way of Beneil Dariush, that's just how it is, but I do think that he would win. Oliveira's one of my favourite fighters ever. I really am a big fan of Charles Oliveira. Huge fan of Charlie Olives, dude. His title run, his title reign in the UFC is kind of like the light ages for me. Like, I feel like now we're in a good spot because we've got John Jones in that, but I remember very fondly watching Charles Oliveira win the title, defend the title twice. Like, it was just a great time then, like, it really was. So, good for Charlie Olives. One of the greatest lightweights of all time, maybe even the greatest, considering he did kind of beat all of Khabib's best wins, and he did it faster and easier, arguably. So, and he beat Tony Ferguson too, who Khabib never fought. So, I don't know. Maybe Khabib probably still is the best lightweight of all time, but he only did have 3 title defenses. And if Charlie Olives beat Islam Makhachev, I feel like he would be undisputed. But unfortunately now, it seems like Islam Makhachev's coming to take the throne, dude. I think he's going to beat Volk. I think Islam Makhachev beats Olives in a rematch. I don't know if he beats Beneil. I probably would pick Makhachev to beat Beneil, but I think Beneil's his toughest fight at the top. And maybe even, like, I was also thinking Mateusz Gamrot would give Islam Makhachev a tough fight, but after seeing Beneil deal with Mateusz Gamrot, I think my opinion on that fight has changed. Arman Tsarukyan, if we can see Arman Tsarukyan climb the rankings, I think he would give a tough fight for Islam Makhachev in a rematch. Especially if Arman Tsarukyan starts to make some rapid improvements. I might even pick him when the time comes, but we'll see how it goes. I think Islam Makhachev's going to be the champion for a long time, though. He beats the Chandlers, he beats the Poiriers, he beats the Gaethjes, he beats Conor McGregor. I think he beats Charles Oliveira in a rematch. He probably beats Beneil Dariush, but it's a very close fight. That's his toughest fight, in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments, though, and I'll see you in the next one.